Changes in populations or population dynamics. Since the beginning of time, where humans lived and the number of humans living on the earth has constantly changed. Every birth and death is also a part of human dynamics. Every time a person moves from place to place, this also affects population dynamics. Humans, like other organisms, are subject to limiting forces and unexpected events. In 1999, the human population crossed the 6 billion mark. It is expected to double in 50 years. Long ago, human population was small, so doubling had little effect on the environment or the population as a whole. However, with today's population size, doubling would cause a significant impact. Today, most of the people of the world do not have adequate clean water, food, housing, and medical care. Doubling the population would cause competition to grow. Human population isn't stagnant. It naturally changes in response to resource availability, disease, social, and cultural factors. If resources are not limited, then human population resembles that of a J curve, showing exponential growth. For most of history, humans were hunter-gatherers. Food was plentiful, but population size was small because of the nomadic lifestyle. There was probably no more than a few million people worldwide. This is the base of the J curve. With the end of the last ice age, climate change occurred. The main staples of the human diet at that time became extinct. This brought about a change in their diet and lifestyle, going from a hunter-gatherer lifestyle to an agricultural lifestyle. Humans began to start eating more plants and less meat. This diet shift caused having a larger family to be possible because of the stationary lifestyle occurring with the diet. This caused a population increase. New ways of living also came about, such as villages, towns, and finally cities. This led to many new problems, such as buildup of waste, poverty, and disease. This caused having a large family to no longer be desirable. Communicable diseases also helped limit human population. It was easily spread through these rat-infested urban areas. Bubonic plague drastically reduced the populations in Europe and Asia by possibly as much as 50%. But the 17th century brought advances in science, medicine, and agriculture. Human growth became rapid again. The next big influence on human population occurred at the start of the Industrial Revolution in the late 18th century. With factories becoming more and more common, children became a valuable labor source, thereby contributing to the survival of the fittest, and family size increases. The population boom was also aided by the improvements in agricultural technology. This led to increased food productions. Medical advances also helped contribute. With the greater control over diseases, people's lifespans were increased. By the early 19th century, human population reached 1 billion worldwide. This is the stem of the J curve. As the 20th century approached, human population was growing exponentially. During the 20th century, birth rates in highly developed countries decreased dramatically, causing us to leave the J curve. Some reasons for this may be higher standards of living, the availability of practical birth control, and the emplacement of child labor laws. These new factors made it economically irresponsible to have such large families. In Japan, birth rates have been very low, causing the government to worry about a future labor shortage. But populations in less well-developed countries continue to soar. Worldwide, the current human population exceeds 6 billion people, and is continuing to grow. This causes the graph to continue its exponential growth. But Earth cannot support this exponential growth pattern. Our resources are limited. Population changes are usually explained in terms of births and deaths per 1,000 people. When birth oversees deaths, this is a population increase. When death oversees birth, this is a population decrease. And when they are equal, this is population steadiness. This can be explained by the formula: births over death minus deaths over 1,000 times 100. During 2000, the world's birth rate was 22. The death rate was 9. The world's population grew at a rate of 1.3. Highly industrialized nations tend to have low birth rates. Some examples of these kind of countries would be the United States, Canada, Japan, and Germany. In some industrial nations, the birth rate is lower than the death rate. Some examples of this would be Germany and Russia. Low death rates are usually associated with better sanitation, better health care, and stable food production. For the past 100 years, the world's population grew rapidly. This is due to a high birth rate and a decline in the death rate. More reasons for a low death rate include better nutrition, fewer infant deaths, increased average lifespan, and improvements in medical technology. When countries move towards being more developed and industrialized, they experience a movement from high population growth to low population growth. Population dynamics usually goes from population growth to slow population growth to zero growth and finally to reduction in population. This shift caused by development is called demographic transition. There are 4 stages occurring during this: pre-industrial, transitional, industrial, and post-industrial. With the pre-industrial stage, there's harsh living conditions and a high birth rate. Population growth is slow, if at all. The transitional stage begins shortly after the industrial. During this stage, death rates drop, causing population to grow rapidly. When industrialization is well established, this is called the industrial stage. Birth rates stop and eventually approach the death rate. The post-industrial stage is when birth rates drop and reach the zeroing point. They will eventually fall below the death rate, resulting in negative population growth. Over the past 150 years, the United States and some European countries have experienced this gradual transition. This movement is faster in developed countries. Humans' use of resources causes a great impact on the environment. Early humans were hunter-gatherers and used tools to survive. They found methods of changing their habitat to suit their needs. As time passed, humans developed new tools and techniques. They use these tools and techniques in their daily lives. These caused a slight effect on the Earth's environment. But at the end of the last ice age, humans began domesticating wild animals and plants. Some examples of these are chickpeas, bitter vetch, grapes, olives, barley, emmer wheat, lentils, and flax. They domesticated animals such as sheep, goats, and pigs. The first known instance of this is in the Fertile Crescent. This caused humans' lives to become more stable. Farming was primarily for growing just enough food for the family. But around 5,000 years ago, the invention of the plow came about. This allowed humans to clear larger plots of land, thus causing an increase in food supply. Along with the invention of the plow, more efficient farming methods came about. This resulted in urbanization, because a few farmers could produce a large surplus of food to feed those in urban areas. But over the last 10,000 years, land clearing and agriculture has destroyed and degraded the habitats of many species of plants and animals. In developed countries, they are clearing tropical rainforests and savannas for agricultural use. These habitats provide habitat for most of the world's species. This is showing that modern agricultural practices are no longer sustainable. Areas that were once fertile are now becoming infertile due to nutrient depletion and erosion. The use for all this land also requires high energy levels and fertilizers. The Industrial Revolution began in England in the mid-18th century. Goods were able to be produced on a larger scale by machinery. This increased the consumption of natural resources such as minerals, fuels, timber, water. The ending of World War One brought more efficient techniques. Some of these changes negatively affected the supply of natural resources. These changes include increased production and consumption of goods by humans, dependence on non-renewable resources such as oil and coal, production of synthetic materials which can be toxic or are non-biodegradable, and consumption of large amounts of energy at home and at work.